Hello folks, it's Darren Chang and I'm here to review another crossover day pack. This one is made by Burton and it's called the Curbshark. If you actually go onto Amazon, you'll see that there are a ton of different colors and fabric materials that you can choose from for this particular design, this Curbshark design. This one happens to be the Gray Heather Diamond Ripstop version. And what's interesting is that the price varies tremendously depending on what material it's made out of. So you can get them for as low as $29 to as high as $85. But it's the same fundamental design, and really that's the most important thing from my perspective. Although I will say that this Gray Heather Diamond Ripstop feels like a really nice stout material, yet it's pretty lightweight, so it's a good combination here. So let's take a look around at this pack and see what it has to offer. So as many of you probably know, Burton is actually a company that's known more for their snowboards than anything else, but they do make a pretty amazing line in terms of the breadth of different types of day packs that they offer. Most of them are pretty sporty looking, so it would make sense they'd be more for the skateboarding and snowboarding crowd. But there are a few that have a more polished professional look that you could get away with using as a crossover day pack. This one perhaps is a little bit on the sporty side, but it's got pretty subtle look to it, so I think that you could get away with using this. If you're in a job like mine where I work as a teacher on a campus, I could easily get away with something like this, not a problem. It does seem to be pretty well made, I will tell you that. Despite the fact that they can be pretty inexpensive, I think they're put together pretty well. It just feels like it feels like a nice, stoutly made bag here. And it has some really good options for storing things. So let's start on the outside and then we'll work our way into the interior of the bag. You can see here that it has a very distinctive look here on the front. Right here on the top, you can see that we have a quick access pocket. Well, there are actually 3 quick access pockets here. This top one, though, is where I typically would keep my sunglasses. So you can see I have my sunglasses hanging out in here right now. It's not fleece lined, but I don't imagine that it's going to be something that would be terribly harsh on my glasses. My glasses will be able to take it in here. It'd be nice if it was fleece lined, of course, but it isn't. One thing you should note is that the fabric, the inside is what you're feeling. It's not lined in all the places. The back here is actually, it looks like it's a liner, but in fact, that's just the other side of this set of pockets, or the front panel, I should say. So, that is where they can certainly skimp a little bit in terms of their manufacturing to have a bag that's not fully lined. Okay, so I guess having a fully lined bag offers 2 things. It actually does make it a little bit more durable, but it also makes it much more luxurious. All right, so you have the top quick access pocket, and then you have these funny vertically set side quick access pockets. You can see I have a plus size phone in there and my gum. And then on this one, I've managed to squeeze in my Hydro Flask. So that's pretty nice. It doesn't have any pockets on the outside, unfortunately, for water bottles. So it is something, and I use a water bottle all the time. So I have to find a place for it, whether it's in the interior of the bag or better, on the exterior of the bag. There is a place for it, that's for sure. These are Ykk zippers, and you can see they roll really smoothly, especially these ones that don't have zipper covers. Okay, this one that's covered by the flap, it's a little bit harder to get access to because the flap is bound, as you can see right there, so you can't just flop it out of the way. But it's not too bad. It's pretty easy. It's a short zipper, and again, because it's a Ykk, it runs incredibly smoothly. There are no handles on the side or on the bottom. However, there is an inexpensive webbing handle that has been folded over, and it's sewed, so it's not exactly cushy, but it's not terrible. This is what I'd kind of expect out of a pack that's a sub $100 pack. It would be nicer if they had put a cushioned handle along the middle here, because whenever you carry a backpack by this back handle here, it tends to make the load tip in towards your knees. Most people aren't going to be carrying these things for any long distances by holding onto the handle. But if they did put a handle here, that would have been really kind of sweet. Okay, so let's take a look at this suspension system here. It's a pretty simple suspension system, but it's pretty robust. I mean, I like that you have the shaped shoulder straps, a sternum strap, the hardware on it, though it's light and thin, it does feel it's pretty high quality. So I don't think you're going to have failure here. And then in terms of ventilation, it may appear to look like it has sort of open channels to allow perspiration to escape, but in fact that's not really the case. It's more what I would refer to as being sort of quilted. So there's foam certainly that separates the back from the computer section here, but it is just the simple nylon up against here. I could imagine, since this isn't a mesh back, this might get a little bit hot in the summer. So that's something to consider if you're looking at this pack. There is a more breathable polyester on the inside of the shoulder strap, so that'll make it a little bit more breathable here. It's too bad that they didn't decide to do that on this surface. Looking at the bag here in terms of how flat it is, you can see that it slopes slightly, so it's not, I would much rather it be a 90-degree angle so that this thing can sit up on its own. But as you can see, well, let's see. Well, no, it really, well, there you go. Sort of wants to sit on its own. Now that may be simply because I have a lot of weight in the bag, so it's acting like a weeble. However, you know, it really doesn't look like it's designed to be able to sit on the floor very nicely there. In terms of the choice of fabric on the bottom here, this does feel like it's a heavier duty nylon, but I think I would have continued this ripstop, diamond ripstop material all the way down even onto the bottom, because it does feel like this stuff is tougher than this nylon sort of Cordura-like material on the bottom. Okay, so let's now take a look at what's going on in the interior of the bag, and we'll go into the main compartment first. You can see here that there are the flaps that cover the Ykk zippers, and again, it's stitched into here. It would have been nicer if they didn't stitch it in here, because it gives it a little more relief. You can more easily flip it out of the way and have it out of the way if it's not raining. The reality is I would love it not to have these zipper covers all together, but it does sort of add a little bit of weatherproofing, and none of these zippers that you see here have the water guard on them, so you might need that. The reality is, though, that if you're ever caught out in a rainstorm, just bring an umbrella. I mean, that's really the key element here. Or if you don't have an umbrella, then probably getting a cheap rain cover for this thing would be advisable, because it isn't waterproof in any sort of way. The material may be, but the zippers are going to be the major point of leakage. So there are two zipper pulls, and they open up fairly smoothly. I mean, one of the problems is turning the corner on zippers is always a tough thing, so it's a little tight there. But it does zip all the way, almost all the way down to the very bottom of the pack, so it doesn't quite open clamshell-like, but it's close. And you can take a look here. I have a couple things in here that just to organize things for myself. So I have some cables here, receipts, some dongles, and then this does not come in the bag. This is actually a Timbuktu camera bag insert, so I use that frequently just to give bags shape, and also because I often am carrying my camera with me. There's a pocket with elastic at the top here where you can keep file folders, not a problem. It's not fleece lined or padded in any sort of way in the front, so it looks like you could put a tablet in there, but it's not going to have the kind of protection. And there's also a tablet pocket in the laptop compartment there. You can see that over here we have a zippered mesh pocket. It's kind of funny how it runs diagonally here, but it seems to work for me. So I have here, this is all my sort of like chapstick and you know, Tylenol and such. Something to clean the screens my cards, and it does come with a place for you to clip your keys to, which I would never use. Good size there, I like it. There's nothing underneath here, but one of the benefits of having a zipper that doesn't go all the way down to the very bottom of the bag is that this volume then is a safe place to be able to just toss things and it won't fall out very easily. So just behind this zippered pocket, you can see here is another open pocket. It goes down to the bottom of this pocket right here, so it's fairly deep. But you wouldn't really want to overload this too much because if you go to open up this main compartment, everything will flop over. And if you have something like your Apple Pencil in there, it might slide out. So you can see there are 3 slots here for pens. That's pretty nice. Usually 2 is enough, but I like having that 3rd one. And then I have a slot here for my wallet. This is fleece lined, so I would imagine that some people would choose to put their iPhones in here, but because I want to be able to get quick access to my iPhone, I would rather have it in one of these front quick access pockets. Okay, so I think it's just the right amount of organization in the interior. And what's important for you to notice here is that in this interior section, it is fully lined and the seams are taped and such. So they did a nice job of lining the interior of the main compartment. And this is pretty nice nylon and it feels like it's pretty well made, so I don't think it's going to tear apart or break down. And so I think this is a nice looking interior of this bag. Okay, so let's take a look at the laptop compartment. The zipper starts up here and continues around all the way almost again to the very bottom of the pack. The nice thing about that is that means you can open it up partially and get access to your laptop. Go all the way to make it a little bit easier. And inside of here, you can see that there is a slot. I actually have my iPad Pro in a case that's actually a little bit bigger than my 13-inch laptop here. But in this case, you could also potentially put your tablet into this fleece-lined area. It's not fully fleece-lined. It's only fleece-lined on one side, the side that's closer to me right now. And it's too small to be able to accommodate a large iPad Pro, but it'll no problem. It'll fit a 10.5-inch and smaller iPad. And maybe you can see this here. You probably can because of the camera angle there. But there also is sort of a hammock of sorts at the bottom here. And what that does is it prevents the bottom side of your computer from hitting the ground. If you accidentally drop your backpack from any sort of height, it won't impact your computer. All right, so that's a nice touch there. The only problem I foresee is that if you have small things that you throw in there, it's going to get caught behind or underneath this little hammock and be very difficult to get access to. Or, you know, I mean, yes, you could move the bag around to get access to it, but it might have been better almost to make that a continuous all the way from edge to edge and left a little bit of an air gap in that area there. All right, so this is, again, fully lined, and there's foam that between the area where your iPad would be and your laptop. There is no foam. Let me confirm that for a moment. There doesn't appear to be foam between... Oh, nope, there is. There's foam between the main compartment and where you would put your iPad. And there's certainly a thick foam between where your iPad would go and where your back is being, where your back lies on this pack. So that's a nice job by Burton there. Because of all that foam, it actually does a nice job of keeping its shape in the back. It sort of gets a little bit wrinkly in the front here. You know, I would hope that over time, these creases, that obviously when this bag is packed for shipment, it gets crushed flat. So these pockets are kind of wrinkly and ugly looking. It'll take some time for those wrinkles probably to come out. So obviously that's something to consider when you're looking at this pack. All right, so, oh, and also know that I do have my keys attached here to a little loop. I'm not sure how strong this loop is going to be over time. It's really probably not made to carry any weight. It's really just for the logo there. But for now, it seems to work. It's a great place for me to hold my keys and my the card that gives me entry to all the campus buildings. Okay, so there you have it again. It's the 26-liter Burton Curbshark. I like it. It's a nice pack, especially if you can find one in a color that you like for 30 bucks. My God, this is a steal. And it feels like it'll last a long time. It's comfortable to wear, and I think this is really a good day pack for anybody who doesn't mind this look. All right, take a look at my other videos, and I hope this was helpful, and I hope my other videos are helpful for you as you go about trying to select your day pack. Thanks.